Hello! Okay, so this is an entirely new series whereby you can ask me any question you want about the IELTS test or just life in general, and I'm going to answer every single question for you. This month's questions came from the community page posts, and if you're a subscriber to this YouTube channel, you'll be able to see those posts. Now, if you want to ask a question for next month, pop it into the comments below. Let's get started. Okie dokie. First question, Pradoman. Hey, I'm planning to give IELTS, so where should I start from? Good question, Pradoman. Okay, first thing you want to do there is probably get an idea of the test format itself. All of this stuff is actually available on the IDP website or British Council or wherever you're taking the test from. You want to know what's included in the IELTS test. But then you want to get a bit of an overview of every single task. The best way to do that is actually on e2language.com because we have overview videos. Okay, next question is from Chillout. Writing is problematic. Make video on letter and essay writing and please, PLZ, explain structure of all essay type questions. You, my friend, are in luck because the methods lessons that are here on YouTube cover exactly that. We go through the structures that you need for your writing task 1 and all of the different essay question types for writing task 2. Just bear in mind that only about half of them are here on YouTube. All of them are on e2language.com. I was concerned about this question appearing. Here we go. Manpreet, are you single? I am in love with teaching IELTS. Oh God, help me. Next question from Syed. How to become an IELTS coach or trainer? Whew. Okay, so first of all, Syed, you need to have a really good background in languages, linguistics, and English language specifically. You need to know the nuts and bolts, the grammar, the pronunciation, the structure, the semantics, the syntax, all of that stuff. From there, you'll then study the IELTS test itself, learn all the ins and outs of the test. But yeah, actually, then you just have to start teaching it because the only way to become a good teacher is to actually teach it. And the other thing I'll say is there, if you really want to become a good IELTS teacher, you have to go and take the test yourself. Sonica, do you provide online classes for IELTS as a tutor? Me personally, I don't take the tutorials or the live classes, but we have a team of expert IELTS teachers who do. Next question is from Van. AE Help said that your PPF method doesn't work in the IELTS test. I'm confused. Which one is more corrected? It's a good question. I guess the evidence speaks for itself, and that is that we've had tens of thousands of people now use the PPF method to great success. Next question is, I believe, from a Russian. I could be wrong there. Hi, I have one difficult choice between the best dictionary to learn new words. Good question. I think the Oxford English Dictionary is the best. Okie dokie, Ritek Kapoor, how to choose IELTS test date? That's a great question. Obviously, you have things like university entrance dates or your migration visa requirements, etc., which you need to keep in mind. But then you need to think about how ready are you for your IELTS test? Do you need just 3 days preparation, 3 weeks, 3 months, maybe a year, who knows? So you need to sort of make those decisions. One of the best things that you can do is take a mock test to get an idea of where your level currently is and then think forward from there. Okay, Lubna. Many people say evaluation of IELTS speaking depends upon the country where you take it. A non-native English speaker might be judged on more strict grounds if the examiner is a native English speaker. Is it true? I think there's probably some truth to that. Let's face facts here. Examiners aren't perfect. Neither are computer algorithms. Language is a very difficult thing to measure. If you're thinking about flying from one country to another because it might give you a better chance of success, I think that's probably a little bit bonkers. Don't do that. But I think, again, just prepare properly. Then you don't have to worry about these conspiracy theories. Okay, it looks like we've got a Vietnamese name here. Ba Hong Li, sorry. How to write a draft in writing task 2. Structure. For all of the writing assessments, structure is key, and particularly for the essay. Once you know how to structure up an introductory paragraph, your body paragraphs, and your conclusions, writing these essays becomes a lot easier. And after you've mastered the structure, you can then focus more on the grammar, your task response, vocabulary, etc. But the structure is the skeleton that you need to get right. Okay, VJoy, I want to know how to write a conclusion. Fair enough, the conclusion is important. So remember, in your conclusion of the essay, you don't bring in any new ideas. What you're doing is recapping or recapitulating what you've already mentioned. There is an E2 language structure for the conclusion. I suggest you watch that methods lesson. Nature Explorer, please guide for computerized IELTS test. Okay, so I've taken both formats, the paper-based and the computer-based, and I personally like the computer-based test better. It's just a smaller, more friendly environment, and the writing is easier in the sense that you can type more quickly, therefore you have more time to edit your essay. Tips, yeah, it's pretty straightforward, to be honest. There's going to be no surprises. It will make sense to you, but make sure you do a few practice tests, the computer-based practice tests, which are available on the IDP website, actually only the IDP website, I believe, and E2 languages test preparation is also in the computer-based format if you want it that way. Next question from Navkirat. I'm here to thank you. Because of you, I scored 8 in reading. Overall 7.5. I just love you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Jimmy Patel. Understanding versus what I think is rote learning. Which is better? Okay, which is better for... Okay. So I think Jimmy is talking about, should I memorize an essay versus learn the structure, learn sentence? You cannot get away with memorizing an essay in the IELTS. The examiners are trained to pick memorized essays and you'll get a 0. You have to use proper English. I really hate to say it. You may have to refine your grammar, brush up on your vocabulary, learn the structures. There's no quick fix for that if you don't have those skills. Sujata, here we go. Hi sir, how are you? I'm working as a nurse for the past 26 years in the Gulf. I wish to live abroad, but at present I'm working and people are speaking Arabic and colleagues are speaking in their own language, so I can't improve my English. Anyhow, I'm practicing from YouTube to write IELTS. I don't know how to attend the IELTS. My question is, I must go for coaching or I can learn from YouTube? This is a very good question. And how many hours I should practice? Please help me, blah, 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 blah. Okay, can you prepare for IELTS just by watching YouTube videos? The answer is no. At some point, you need to put pen to paper and actually do some of these exams, the reading tests. You need to write essays, etc. And what you might need first and foremost here is probably some writing feedback. You need to know what errors you're making. Then you need to know how to improve them, amongst other things, many other things. Eros. How can I use the collocations effectively? Well, you just did. You said an effective collocation. Okay, no, seriously, what are collocations? Collocations are natural sounding phrases. It's a vocabulary, but you're not thinking about single words. You're thinking about words that come together. Like you might need to take responsibility, or you might need to build your vocabulary, for example, build vocabulary. Why do we say build? Who knows? It's just part of the English language. These are collocations. What you need to do, first of all, is notice them. Then you need to start using them, okay? So when you're reading and listening, hear them or see them, then start actually saying them and writing them. Ard says, cool bananas. Thanks, Ards. I totally agree. Cool bananas. Okay, so Arkib wants to know, what does cool bananas actually mean? I have no idea. Next question, Deep K. Can we use pencil for answering and reading and writing module of IELTS? Yes, on test A you'll be given a pencil. Usually a pencil. I don't think you're ever given a pen. Yes, if you're taking the paper-based test, you'll be using a pencil. That includes writing an essay in pencil, by the way. That's kind of tricky. Okay, I think we have another Russian. Can you tell more about inquiry on results? Good question. How much time it takes? Is it possible to get higher band score or lower? Okay, what this question is about is when you take your IELTS, you get your results, you're unhappy because you think, what? I only got 6 for writing? I'm sure I wrote a good essay. I'm going to send it back to IELTS for a remarking or an inquiry on results. How long does it take? I've forgotten precisely. I think it might take like 3 weeks or something like that. Now, if they do in fact increase your mark, you get your money back. So it's not a free thing. You have to pay for an inquiry on results. Whether you should do it or not, I've done it several times and each time they've increased my band scores. But that's just me. Here's the thing. If you really truly walk out of that exam thinking, I just wrote a great essay, I didn't screw that up, everything was perfect, then you're very disappointed by your results, I would say go for it. Next question is from Jaga. Hi Jay, I went through your IELTS writing playlist and the other one in which you told that how to classify 2 idea paragraphs and 1 idea paragraphs. However, in one of your writing IELTS problems and solutions videos, you wrote 1 idea paragraph. What's going on? Oh my God, whereas it should have been a double idea. Can you tell me about it? The answer to that one is if you want the latest methods lessons, then you need to go to e2language.com. It's all up to date there. Here on YouTube, it's good, but some of the stuff might be slightly outdated. Next question, are mock tests more difficult than real exam? Well, on E2 language, we write the questions at the same level of difficulty as the actual IELTS test. There's a real art to writing these questions. It's very challenging. Some of the stuff you'll get off the internet that'll be free will be dodgy. Some will be good quality, some won't be. Just be careful what practice material rather you use. Mandeep, is there any difference between IDP and British Council? Well, as far as I understand, IDP have the computer-based IELTS test, which I highly recommend. In terms of how they grade your essays or your speaking, in terms of the format of the test and the difficulty, it's exactly the same. Jasleen, is it true that you can choose to write all answers in uppercase in your listening test? The answer is yes. Okay, Dip Kur. In listening section, for instance, waterproof. Can we write this word like water-proof, instruction, only 1 word? I think the question there is if a word is hyphenated, has a hyphen in it, that's counted actually as 1 word, not 2. Good question. Arif, is it possible to go to the US with IELTS? The answer is you need to check on the migration website or through your employer, etc. I don't want to give you advice on that. I think broadly the answer is yes, but just double check. Stev Kiki, what are you going to do when you hit 1 million subscribers? Would love to see Sir J drop a sick verse to celebrate. I think a sick verse means that you want me to sing. I can't sing, I don't think. We'll see. I'll do something cool. Kapil, which one do you prefer between IELTS and TOEFL, and how difficult are they when you compare them? Well, they're almost identical. Whether you're taking PT Academic, IELTS Academic, or TOEFL, they are created in such a way that the difficulty levels are pretty much the same, if not, I can't say identical, but pretty close. One thing you might want to consider is the formats of the tests are different. Which ones do you like? It's up to you. Check them out. E2 Language actually offers prep courses on all of those high-stakes English tests. Pukar, how to improve your creativity regarding the question mostly in writing task 2. Okay, so you're talking here about idea generation. First of all, the question prompts you'll get in your essay will be very, how can I say, they're not going to be obscure or abstract. They're going to be very common types of questions, things that you've thought about before, like smoking indoors or outdoors, or online learning versus non-online learning, or something, I don't know, straightforward topics like that. You don't need to get too creative. In fact, you are not awarded points for having a great philosophical answer. Just whatever first pops into your mind, just go with that. But do make a little plan before you start writing. Okay, next question. How to improve word choice for a non-native speaker? I struggle with it, especially in the writing section. Good question. Word choice is really important. So in the vocabulary criterion, it's called lexical resource. That is, when the examiners are reading your writing and they're deciding how good your vocab is, one of the things they consider is precision. That is how precise the words are that you use. So when you're thinking of a word, you might have a range of synonyms to use. So your question is, which one of those words should I use? That has to be the most natural sounding one. How do I determine that? This really comes, I hate to say, from reading, because the more you read in English, the more that these natural sounding phrases and your word choice will get better, because you're just exposed to the language more. Otherwise, I really can't think of a way to do it otherwise. Okay, next question from Dr. Kaiser Katak. Please make videos on how to improve listening scores. This is a great question. How do you improve your listening skills? Because listening seems to be something that's like just natural to us. But then when we're listening to another language, are we hearing? Are we listening? What's going on there? The key to improving your listening, just very briefly, is actually improving your understanding of spoken English, okay? So spoken English actually includes, obviously, vocabulary and grammar and pronunciation, all the sounds, but then there's all these other elements of spoken English like sentence stress and word stress and connected speech, etc. If you're not a subscriber to this YouTube channel, click subscribe, because we're going to release videos called The Science of Speaking, which is going to help you with your listening. Yeah. Next question is from Harsimranjit Singh. Is there any limit on the maximum words in task 2? Good question. You need to write minimum 250 words in task 2. Minimum. You are not awarded more points for a longer essay. However, you can write more words if you want. And if you do take the computer-delivered test, you'll find yourself being able to write like 350 or 400 words. But why do that? I would write about 300, 320 or something like that, because you can extend your ideas, and then you'll have enough time to actually edit your work and make sure that it's accurate, okay? So don't just try and write a novel-length essay. There's no point. Keep it tight, keep it well-constructed, etc. Okay, La Passion. I struggle with managing my time and concentrating at reading section. How should I improve this? Good question. Okay, so time management is critical in the reading section. You've got a lot of text to read. You've got a lot of questions to get through. Now, there's two things that are going to soak up time. One of them is your understanding of the text itself. This means that you need to have a large vocabulary that comes to you immediately. That is, you understand the meaning of the words automatically, right? So you need to try to improve that just by doing more reading and building your vocab. The other thing that will soak up your time is actually answering the questions. You want to be familiar with the question formats, and then of course you want to know the methods, the step-by-step approaches to getting the right answer. So all of these three things combined will improve your time management in reading. Mal Min, oh God, here we go. He looks like Tom Felton. I think that's the guy from Breaking Bad. I've also been told that I look like Malfoy from Harry Potter. Next question. Gurmukh. No questions, just thanks for every video. Next question. Syed, which books can help us to enhance our reading skills for academic IELTS reading section, beginner to advanced level? Okay, so let's say your English skills are not that good. You don't have a big vocabulary, your grammar's not so great. You need to build up those fundamental skills. In that case, I wouldn't even really be doing IELTS prep at this stage. Okay, be concentrating on your general English skills and just building vocab, building grammar, and if necessary, building your pronunciation as well. You then want to step into doing IELTS prep. All IELTS tests are written at the same level of difficulty, which is difficult. So don't be hard on yourself if you're struggling. but try and maybe then do both at the same time. That is building your understanding of IELTS while still building your fundamental skills. We actually have a website called e2school.com, and there's a course on there called Test Ready, which will be applicable for you if you're in that boat. Shruti. Hey Jay, I hope you're doing well. Can you please help me with the academic reading part, especially true, false, not given, and yes, no, not given, and also how to deal with difficult words and finding their synonyms? Okay, so I think there were 3 questions there. The first one, actually I'll combine true, false, not given, yes, no, not given. Okay, here we go. So you'll see a statement, right? And it's going to be yes, no, or not given. And that means it relates to some part of the text. Either it says the exact same thing in different words, in which case it will be yes or true. It might also directly contradict, in which case it's going to be no or false. Or there just won't be any information, enough information given, in which case you can't really answer the question, in which case it's going to be not given. That was a very, very quick way to look at that. You might want to check out the methods lessons. What was your other part of the question? Difficult words and finding synonyms. Yeah, okay, so vocab building is fundamental to this test. I mean, vocabulary is fundamental to language, right? Really, there are 3 ingredients to language. Vocabulary, they're like the bricks. Grammar, that's like the concrete or the mortar that sticks the bricks together. And if you're dealing with speaking, it's the sounds or the pronunciation. These 3 things are fundamental. You may need to build them before your IELTS test. Simran, how to solve diagram labeling type question in reading? Check out the methods lesson. I mean, when I think back to the IELTS tests that I've done, I kind of remember them. You're looking really for key nouns because you're labeling a diagram, so you need nouns, and these nouns will stick out of the paragraph. Check out the methods lesson. Come to the live classes where we do this thing on a daily basis. Come across to e2language.com. Okay, next question. Wados. Hello, Jared, which might be my real name. What words should I memorize to do well in speaking part 2? What words are the most effective? All right, there's one word that if you use in your speaking test, you will get a 9. That word is gullible. That was a joke. Okay, that was a joke, like that was actually a joke. There isn't some word or words that will make you get a high score. Again, you need to have a broad vocabulary because you don't know what the topic's going to be, right? You might have to speak for 2 minutes on, I don't know, bicycles or your favorite cinema film or something like that. Therefore, you need a varied vocabulary. Sorry. Christine asks, what is the font size in the reading passages? That's a good question. Good news is when you take the computer-based IELTS test, you can increase and decrease the font size, so that's cool. On the paper-based test, I don't know, just usual 12, 14 maybe. Whatever it is, it's definitely viewable. Hannah asks, hello, I think idioms can't be used in an essay. So if I use put a stop to something in an essay, is that okay? Yeah, okay, so there's sort of idiomatic language. Put a stop to something would be fine. That would be fine. But then you've got like weird idioms like the flip side of the coin. What's it with the other side of the coin? Or raining cats and dogs, or, you know, these sorts of, I don't know, what would you call those? Avoid those ones. They're like in a nutshell, avoid those. But in terms of academic idiomatic language, like put a stop to something, that's actually fine, okay? Just remember, you do want to make it formal. So if you do have a choice between a particular sort of informal sounding word or phrase and a more formal one, try to choose the more formal one if you can. Ishita, hello, can we use hyphen or brackets, I'm thinking, during writing? Yes, if you know how to use them accurately. I'd probably avoid using brackets. At some point, maybe you would use them. Don't try to force them in. If it comes naturally to you because you know how to use them, then fine. Sufyan Santo, make a video for most important vocabularies for writing and speaking, please. Okay, good question. So we actually have a video on Band 9 vocabulary for the essays. That'll be in the description below. And we also have on e2language.com things called topic toolkits where we actually collect important vocabulary by theme, like education or health or government or whatever the essay topic might be, which gives you keywords. So that's over on e2language.com, but they're very helpful. Nav, which connectors we can use to improve our fluency in speaking and how? Okay, so do you want to purposely insert connectors into your speaking? Well, possibly, but you want it to come naturally. You don't want them to make you hesitate, for example. If I were you, I would look at some of those key connectors like however, or as a result, or some adverbs like potentially or possibly. These are good words, but just don't make it too, what's the word I'm looking for? Stale or stuck. It needs to be fluent. Harry Singh, can I use contractions like didn't, haven't, don't in the speaking module? The answer is yes, you certainly can because they're completely natural, so go for your life. Next question is from Nikita. In agree, disagree essay, if I agree on one side, then I can write one body paragraph about disagree point and one body paragraph about agree point. Yes, you can. But what you want to do is frame that. Let's say you're going to agree, and that's the theme of your essay. Your position is agreement with the prompt. You need to take a position, right? But you certainly can talk about the other side of the argument in another paragraph, but you want to frame that paragraph by saying, some people think this, fools. This is why they're wrong, etc. So yes, you can mention the other side of the argument, but only in that it supports your position. Okay, next question is from Jay Schwal. Hi Jay, in writing task 2 of IELTS, it's an essay. Is it the same for academic and general? The answer is pretty much basically the same. Actually, if you're taking, let's say you've got 2 people taking the IELTS, one's taking academic, one's taking general on the same day, they will have different question prompts, but the question prompts are effectively the same, like advantages, disadvantages, problem solution, etc. Arguably, the general one's slightly easier, but they're the same. Here we go. Stick with me. Let's keep going. Harpreet asks, how can I use however for illustration, therefore, in between the second sentence? I mean, just after the noun or not. I will, for illustrative purposes, tell you how. So you can actually slot these little connectors in the middle of a sentence, and it's actually a good idea. Many people just put them at the start of the sentence, like blah, 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 full stop, however, boom, 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 boom. But it's more elegant and neat, and it actually slightly improves your score if you can embed them within the sentence. Where do you put them? I actually can't think of that answer off the top of my head. Is it after the noun? Is it after the verb? I don't know. You'll have to take a look at some of the model answers on e2language.com. Next question. Ravindra. We can't afford your IELTS budget package. You should be some more kind towards us. Sometimes we do discounts and offers and like 20 bucks off and stuff like that. So do make sure that you become a free member on E2 Language when those special offers arise. Otherwise, hopefully what we're producing and giving out on YouTube for free is satisfying. Here we go. So Oluwadara asks, my exam is in a couple of days. I've written a few essays as practice and my friends that I send them to say I write as if I'm talking. How can I stop that, please? Okay, one thing you want to ask is, do you trust your friends? Not like that, but like trust them as English language teachers to give you feedback on your IELTS test. Maybe you should be submitting it to someone who really gets IELTS. So I don't know what your writing looks like. If you are writing in that colloquial sort of way where it's a little bit too informal, you do want to make it a bit more formal. So maybe it's about sentence structure or vocabulary choice. I'm just not sure. Feedback is key. Soljanya. Hello, sir. How can I identify the semi-formal and formal letter in writing test? For example, if I am writing a letter to my manager, it will come under formal letter. It's a good question. One thing you want to ask yourself is, are you writing to this person for the first time? For example, let's say it's a job application, okay? Therefore, it will be a formal letter because you've never met this person. Let's say you have a relationship with the person, but there's a power imbalance, like your manager. Therefore, it's going to be semi-formal, okay? So there's slight differences in the sign-off where you say yours faithfully or sincerely, a slight change in formality, but very little, to be honest. It's our old friend Dr. Katak again. Glad to see your smiling and charming face, Jay. Glad to see yours, Dr. Katak. Next question. Mrunal asks a very important question. What is different between you and Robert Downey Jr.? Personally, I'm just glad that I'm not Malfoy or that other guy. Much prefer Robert Downey Jr. Richa, your videos have egregious grammar error there, Richa. Have helped me a lot in getting my IELTS score. I got 7.577 in my first attempt. That's amazing. Sincere thanks to you. Can you please guide me for French language lessons as well? I'm afraid I'd be terribly unhelpful at teaching you French, but thank you for asking me. And well done. Mohammed, I can't mostly keep eye contact, especially when I talk to someone who knows English better than I do. Is it okay if I don't keep eye contact in a real IELTS exam? Okay, good question. So in real life, I really do encourage you to maintain eye contact with people. It's kind of terrifying because they can see your soul, but you have a nice soul, so it's fine. In the IELTS test, it doesn't matter if you don't maintain eye contact because body language is not counted, although in saying that, you should maintain some eye contact with the examiner because there still is a bit of a personal relationship there. Prakash, I got 8, 8.5, 6.5, 6.5 because of your class. Thank you. Cool. Thanks, Prakash. Well done. Abdullah, I'm suffering a lot with the map-based listening test. Please give some tactics to overcome this problem. Okay, good question, Abdullah. With that map-based task in the listening test, there is a method which you can check out on the platform on e2language.com, but just very briefly, the map base will always have a beginning point, a starting point from where they then go and travel around the little map into the different rooms or whatever, or to the north or to the east, etc. So it will always take you back to that starting point. So you need to find the starting point because that's your bearing, and then the narrator will then from there take you around the map. That's a good little tip to start off. Okay, lucky last question is from Moin Malek, and it's a good question. I can't get the confidence for the speaking test. Okay, here's the thing when you get nervous, and everyone's going to get a bit nervous on test day because it's a nerve-wracking environment. It's totally fine. You're going to have physical manifestations of nervousness. That is, your heart might flutter or your hands might sweat. You might, when you get that weird thing where you run out of saliva. Okay, this sort of stuff's just going to happen, okay? You just have to accept that that's the way it's going to be. Don't fight it. It doesn't matter. You can sweat and tremble. It doesn't matter. The examiner doesn't care about that, okay? What you need to do is listen very carefully to the examiner, pay careful attention to them, not focusing on yourself and the weird manifestations of anxiety. That's going to help you, and then you're going to respond more appropriately and you're going to get a better speaking result. Yeah? You can do it. Okay, thanks very much for those questions. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. Hopefully you learned some tips. If you have questions for me for next time, please pop them into the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. And remember, you can ask me anything at all, specifically about IELTS, or if you do have a funky question about life and universal stuff, go for it.